One of the basic problems considered by the 83rd Congress was the economic recession which confronted the country in 1953 and 1954, and most especially in the months following November 1953. As many of you know from experiences in your own community, factory layoffs became more frequent, businesses closed down, and farm income dropped steadily. Even though there has been some leveling off this summer and fall, nevertheless, unemployment continues to be a serious problem in the textile towns of New England and the South, in the mining centers of the Appalachians, in the farm machinery centers of the Middle West, in the mines and lumber camps of the Far West. When unemployment reaches the level that it has reached in so many communities in the country this year, prompt and positive action by the government is required. We need action, of course, to prevent a further recession, to maintain our economy at a continually expanding rate. But also we need to take action for those victims of the economic cycle, our unemployed men and women, who must somehow get by until jobs are available again. And this, I feel, is a most important job for the Congress. For nearly 20 years, this nation has maintained a federal-state unemployment compensation system. It is part of the general Social Security law. It pays insurance benefits to those workers who are unemployed, just as other parts of the Social Security law pay benefits when a worker retires or in case of death in a family. Unfortunately, our unemployment compensation program is woefully inadequate. When the unemployment compensation program was put into effect during the 30s, the average worker out of a job was able to receive as much as 2/3 of his pay. Today, he receives considerably less than a half, and in many states, less than 1/3. The average benefit payment is less than $25 a week, which obviously is not enough for his family and for himself to support and get by. Obviously, $25 a week does not permit an unemployed worker to meet his immediate expenses and to pay his bills to the business community. An even more serious problem is that of benefit exhaustion. A worker is entitled to draw unemployment benefits in each state for a certain number of weeks. It varies in different states. Some it's as low as 12. In some states it goes as high as 26, but the average is much less than that. Last year in one state, 2 out of 5 workers who were unemployed received benefits up to the maximum period and then were forced to go on relief or exhaust their savings. Today, about 40,000 workers a week are unable to maintain a decent living standard for themselves and their family because the maximum period of time for which unemployment compensation benefits are paid are in their states too short. When benefits are too low and the time for drawing benefits is too short, it is not only the unemployed workers and their families who suffer. It is, in fact, the entire community. It is the doctor, the landlord, the relief agencies who must support the workers between jobs. Indeed, the entire community suffers in that goods remain on the shelf, machines stand idle, and in the very time of greatest public difficulty, taxes must be raised to support the increased public assistance role. Thus, every one of us has a stake in improving our unemployment compensation laws in order to help the worker, the businessman, and the entire community. Our stake is particularly high when unemployment reaches the peak that it has in the past few months, and when the future of our economy is so uncertain. If action is to be taken to increase unemployment benefits, it must be taken on the federal level. I have never been in favor of the federal government taking over functions that are best suited to state governments. But unemployment is a nationwide problem. It is governed by nationwide economic trends. It cannot be handled from a state-to-state basis. No state is able to deal with its unemployment problems completely by itself. For these reasons, Congress, nearly 20 years ago, enacted the federal state unemployment compensation law, even though it has been largely administered on a state level. Congress recognized the fact that very few states would be willing to adopt a program of their own, knowing that those states which failed to do so would entertain a competitive advantage in attracting industries to those states. Today, exactly the same principle holds true with respect to increasing unemployment compensation benefits. The states in the past 15 years have failed to take action, establishing adequate benefits and duration levels. And no state has adopted the recommendations made by President Eisenhower earlier this year. Thus, the responsibility for increasing the unemployment compensation benefits is squarely on the Congress. And in a year of heavy unemployment, as in 1954, it was a responsibility Congress could ill afford not to meet. But I regret to say that Congress failed to meet this responsibility. We had before us the rising tide of unemployment, the increasing difficulty of men and women to find jobs, the fact that unemployment compensation benefits had not kept pace with the rising increase in the cost of living. We had before us the findings of the Eisenhower administration that unemployment benefits today are inadequate and that the period of time for which such benefits are paid is not enough. We had before us the request of the President and the Secretary of Labor to every state to raise their benefits. And we also observed the fact that not a single state had observed these recommendations, despite the fact that 19 state legislatures have met since these recommendations were made. Thus, it was not only a disappointment, but a serious setback to our economy and to our social responsibility that Congress failed to take effective action. We may hear this election year that Congress did do something about unemployment compensation. But these are assertions that require closer scrutiny by the voter who wants to know all the facts about what his congressman and senator did do about it. It is easy this year to say that something was done, but let us see exactly what they did do. If they are talking about the bill to extend the coverage of unemployed insurance to more workers, let us also remember that Congress revised that bill before it passed so as to deny this basic coverage to a great percentage of the workers whom the President had requested to be included. If they are talking about the bill which provides for federal loans to state unemployment reserves which are depleted after a serious recession, it should also be pointed out not only that this loan program is of serious value, but also that that very same bill contains provisions undermining the financial structure of our entire unemployment compensation program and dissipating on unnecessary administrative and bureaucratic expenses those funds which should be preserved for payments to our unemployed workers. Indeed, this bill cannot be claimed as a step forward to strengthen our jobless insurance law. On the contrary, in my opinion, it represents a serious step backward. But the important question is, what did Congress do about the major issue? That of increasing unemployment compensation benefits? This is where they failed, in my opinion, to take any positive action whatsoever. On July of this year in the Senate, I introduced an amendment to carry into a nationwide scale the very standard which the Eisenhower administration had earlier recommended. It would have provided that the unemployed worker would receive, if out of a job, 50% of his average scale, or a maximum of 2/3 of the average wage in the state. He would be able to receive benefits for a maximum period of 26 weeks. This amendment, inasmuch as it proposed only the very moderate standard which the President had earlier said he was for, was the least that Congress could do, in my opinion, in the year when unemployment was doubled over the previous year. This amendment would not have required any immediate increase in unemployment compensation taxes by the employers, which are already far below the normal 2.7% in every state of the nation but one, Rhode Island. This amendment would not have depleted the tremendous reserves which have been built up, which are more than 6 times as high as an average in the nation, 6 times as high as the amount paid out last year. In fact, in some state, reserves are 25% as high as the amount paid out last year. Thus, there is no reason why our unemployment compensation standards could not have been raised by Congress this year to the level that they were in comparison to the wage rates that they were during the 30s. I was joined in offering this amendment by several of my colleagues, including Senator Anderson of New Mexico, Senator Douglas of Illinois, Senator Neely of West Virginia, Senator Gillette of Iowa, Senator Murray of Montana, Senator Humphrey of Minnesota, Senator Green and Pastore of Rhode Island, and Senator Kefauver, and other Democrats. It was our hope that Congress would take action to restore unemployment compensation standards to the status it originally enjoyed when it was first enacted in the 30s, restore it to the high level that was originally intended by the framers of the first Social Security law. It was our hope that Congress would, by adopting these standards, make progress in reducing the relief rolls and increasing purchasing power for the country as a whole. Unfortunately, although a majority of the members of the Democratic Party supported the amendment, it was defeated in the Senate. And a similar amendment offered by a group of Democrats in the House was also defeated. In short, Congress did nothing to increase the benefits payable to our unemployed workers in this year of economic uncertainties. But Congress cannot avoid its responsibilities for the future. Next year, it will meet again. If the voters have made clear to the members of the House and the Senate their concern over this basic problem, if they have elected a Congress which is seriously interested in this problem, we may hope that more favorable action will be taken. Certainly, there is much that needs to be done and should be done to strengthen our unemployment compensation system. Coverage should be extended, reinsurance of state funds should be established, and most important, Congress must take action early next year to increase the amount of the benefit that is paid to the unemployed worker and to provide for a period of 26 weeks wherein he can receive this increased unemployment benefit. Such standards would be of tremendous importance to us in not only helping the average man and woman who is thrown out of work, but in also maintaining purchasing power in this country. This should be one of our most important goals for 1955, and with your help, it can be realized and achieved.